If you're going to introduce another tax on motor vehicle, that means even the parking fees is going to reduce because people are not going to import vehicles. Another important aspect is the single business permits. So what does that show? 16% of revenue that is collected in Nairobi County comes from the business people. So the voice of the business person is very important during this period when we're doing the finance bill.
Let's talk about the national government. Like recently we had the finance bill that was just passed at that time in Parliament. I remember they had public participation, people went, gave out views, but you end up that by the end of the day, what we say as the citizens were not captured. So do we have a listening government?
Now you represent so many who do not know. You represent so many who are not enlightened, and you represent others that are scared. You represent others that do not know that they have a right to speak to their government, they have a right to advocate for the things they need, they have a right to speak about them. I'm happy that today I'm engaging with people that have education. Hello? At the county where I worked, it's a rural county. You engage with people who, some of them have not even been to school. And by the way, some of them are very sharp, even without education. And they are able to advocate for what they did. So you make them understand. So we are happy today because you can read the PFM. We don't have to read it for you. And it contains all this. The responsibility of county government with regard to public finance. You can pick it and read. It contains how the county treasuries are established, how the funds are established, the budget process, the debt management strategies, procurement and expenditure. There's the consultation process, which is done through the county budget and economic forum. I'm sure Mweshimiwa there knows about them. We have the responsibilities of the county executive, we have the designation of accounting officers, and the whole issue of public finance management in the urban area. Because unlike other counties, you are a city, the urban area, the county. Others have just designated places to be, to be urban places. So just before we get into the real presentation, I want to remind you, and if you have not probably looked at what is in the Constitution, share with you some of the principles of public finance. And the very first one is ensuring openness, the government being open with the people. I have seen this work. I think where I worked, my governor really was a person of advocating for the rights of the people. And so he made the people so powerful that we got scared of them. In fact, one time he said, you guys, next time I'm appointing CECs, I'll call the citizens to vet you. And this is where the Constitution wants the citizens to be. Now, you represent so many who do not know. You represent so many who are not enlightened, and you represent others that are scared. You represent others that do not know that they have a right to speak to their government, they have a right to advocate for the things they need, they have a right to speak about them. So that's one of the principles of public finance. Your government should be open, should be accountable, should ensure participation, and you can cause it to be. You can speak out, especially through an organization like this. When we were growing up, we thought advocacy was force. I mean, today I've understood it differently. You really don't have to put force. You only make your point known, put your facts on the table, and be able to get it. The other thing that public finance should ensure it does is to promote an equitable society. How do we promote an equitable society? Let's talk discuss the subject of taxation. Is taxation fair? Is taxation done in a way that some people are not more taxed than others? That's the whole subject again of public finance. And so you should participate in the preparation of the finance bill. You can propose what you like and what you don't like, and you can tell others about it. This also comes in terms of how revenue is shared. And of course, I won't speak much about that. You know that the CRA, the Commission on Revenue Allocation, comes up with a formula on how the revenue should be shared across the counties. And together with it, they also propose how the marginalized areas will be taken care of. So that means, is Nairobi marginalized? Is it? How now? The slums. Now let me tell you something. When the CRA is looking at Kenya, they look at Kenya as a whole, and so they look at the marginalized areas in terms of counties. Ni county gani inakaa kufinyiliwa. And I think inside there, they look at particular areas. They look at locations. And so they are able to tell which locations are very affected. So when they're using the formula takes care of those things, and then it allocates money, and then they come up with a fund for the marginalized areas to be able to make us equitable. And I'm told by the economists, there's a difference between equality and equity, isn't it? Yes. Yeah. So they are not making us equal, they are making us equitable. When you wake up, talk about that subject. And you know, there's that picture in the internet that shows us what is being equitable. It's putting us at the same space. We may not be equal, but it's putting us at the same level. So public finance should actually promote that kind of a thing. It should ensure that expenditure is equitable. Then the other thing, as we get into our presentation, is the burdens and benefits. Like a loan taken today, its burden should be shared by us and the future. You understand? Si ati tuchukue loan, tusilipe, then our children come to struggle. So you people as people who want to interact with the government should be able to ask, how are we managing our loans? And in the county, there is a debt management strategy. You need to check, does the county take loans? By the way, how much do you know your county? Do they take loans? Let me see. Who has interacted with their county here? Nairobi County. Do they take loans? Do they take loans? They do. Who thinks they don't? Hamwajui? By the way, there's so much information in the internet that you can just Google and see what is happening in Nairobi County. Yeah? Nairobi County, okay, government can take loans to do development or do a few operational things here and there. But I doubt any of the counties has taken loans for development. Those that have taken loans, like your county, have taken loans to manage payroll. Your story, your payroll. So they've taken loans to manage payroll. So it's just an arrangement with the bank to pay salaries. And when their money comes, they pay off. I think that's what I could get from Nairobi County. So the whole theme of debt should be managed well. This one is at the national level, and you know the story to the biggest squeeze here, debt. So debts should be taken in a way that they are paid over a period of time, and they are spread over a period of time, and not one generation suffers than the other. That is another principle of public finance. Then, of course, the whole issue of ensuring that money is used prudently. So you guys don't just make a budget go slip. Ensure you follow up your county to spend the money prudently. And prudence can be managed in many ways. You can have feedback, periodical feedback. Of course, you can be sure some of these things aren't unless you ask for them. So we actually get to that level where we have to ensure that public finance is managed well, money is being used prudently. Where does the issue of prudence matter most? In public finance, in procurement, and in the way money is generally spent. The government has put a system of spending, IFMIS, in place. You know it. IFMIS has actually helped. But those who understand IT tell us IT is not everything. There's still the test of prudence, the test of integrity in the way we manage things. But that is the other aspect of public finance. Money to be managed prudently and responsibly. It is you to keep an eye on your government. It is you to engage with your government. It is the role of course, the Office of Auditor General we will discuss to ensure that. It is also the role of the Waishimiwas through oversight. But you as citizens can also participate in that. And then, of course, the whole aspect of financial reporting. So, because we want to take you through the whole journey of planning, budgeting, and reporting, I will now invite my colleague, Winnie, to introduce the budget process, and we will just be working together. Just before you sit down, she had asked about equity and equality. You see, assuming you're watching a match here, you're watching Gore and Super Panther, they are playing, and you see Mary. Can you see Super Panther clearly? They are on the field there. Can you see clearly?
I'm sure I can see.
You can see. So I need to give Mary a stool to stand. When you're standing like this, it's equality.
Yeah.
But when I give Mary a stool to stand so that you're on the same level, that is equality. So I would also want to just add in on something that Mary said on the formula, on the revenue sharing formula. It keeps changing. It is not the same. So maybe we have a parameter on population this time, and maybe the next time they remove population and say, we don't need population. There are counties that are populous, but they can generate their own revenue. For instance, NAIROBI County, they generate more than 1 billion in a year. So maybe population is not a factor. We should put something else, like fiscal prudence, and increase the indicator to 50%. And
What
see
is fiscal prudence?
Fiscal prudence. She talked about accountability in terms of using money. When you're giving money, you see, like, devolution came, and now there is the national government and the county government. That is called fiscal decentralization. So when you're given money and you spend the money prudently, you're able to report on the money, you spend the money well. You're able to tell us, this is how much we collected. This is how much we got from the national government. This is how much we got in terms of grants. And this is how the money was spent. And you're able to show it very well without missing some figures, without questions like the ESCC coming to you, knocking your doors and saying, where did this money go? So we're talking about fiscal prudence. Okay? So that the county governments should be very prudent in terms of dealing with their money or how they're allocating their money and spending. So the budget process, you see in 2010 they implemented the 2 levels of government, and now we have a budget, the national budget, and we also have the county budgets. But the process is the same, and this is a process that is used not just in Kenya, even worldwide. We have a formulation stage. This is where we are formulating the budget. We have the approval stage, we have the implementation stage, and we have the audit. So this is a universal budget process. And who is in charge of budget preparation? We have the county executive, and this is it includes the CECs, those are are they called the chief?
County Executive Committee members.
Yes, the CECM, right? Yes. And we also have the governor and the deputy governor as part of the county executive. And the key documents that maybe the citizens need to look at are the annual development plans, the county fiscal strategy paper, and also the county integrated development plans.
You see, the County Integrated Development Plan, that is the CIDP, is a 5-year plan. When a governor comes in, they have a 5-year plan. They tell us we'll do this and this and this during that 5-year. But there is an annual plan which is called the ADP, the Annual Development Plan. This one has priorities for that year. What are we doing? For instance, if you're doing a project in Kibera, we're going to construct a road. It tells us the location. Where is the location of that project? How much money was allocated to that project? Where the status of the project, and even how the level of implementation. Is it at 70%? Is it at 50%? And when it started, and the duration it's going to take. So that is outlined there. So when they're formulating these budgets, you need to, they call for forums for public participation. And I think Robin shared with you the important dates in the budget calendar. So you should be able to look at these dates and come for public participation. Don't just say it was passed. You need to come and say, did we pass what was in the annual development plan? You see, those are the questions that you need to raise during that stage. Then there is approval. Once the budget has been made, it comes back to the county assembly where it is passed, and then the governor now assents it. Now this is the budget that we're going to implement. So the key important document is the enacted budget and the appropriation act. So during the implementation and oversight, we have the people in charge at the county executive and the county assembly. So when we are implementing the project, now we have a budget. And now we have the money is coming. How are we spending? That is where we have the problems of absorption. You see, absorption is we have been given an X amount of money. For instance, we are given 80 million. And instead of spending the 80 million, we spend 50 million. How much have we not spent of that money? 30. So what is that percentage that we have spent? How much the percentage you have your funds? It's 60%. So the 60%, that is what we call the absorption. So where is the 40%? Where has it gone? Are you seeing? So we could write very nice budgets. Then now sometimes you see that there's a docket that normally they spend very little or they do not spend. There's something called disaster management. You should look at those budgets. There's an allocation in each county. There's something called disaster management. Then they always allocate around 100 million. But if you look at the expenditure, it is 0. So you need to look at that. Where is that money going to? So then there are issues or the stage where we have audit and evaluation. And here we have the Office of the Auditor General, who provides like audit reports. And also we have the Office of Control of Budget. You see, the Office of Control of Budget provides reports on how the budget was implemented at both national and county level. And it shows the challenges. For instance, the challenges that have been there all the time, they have been talking about paying bills. So people do not want to pay to the county governments because they won't be paid. So we need to link the budget. So I want you to, this is just a picture of what I have been talking about. You see, when we have a plan, these are CIDP. CIDP is a 5-year plan. But we don't just plan from nowhere. We plan from internal, like there are goals that are there. Like for instance, we have the Sustainable Development Goals, which every country is implementing. We also have the National Spatial Plan, which is, you see, this is a 30-year plan that is there for the national government. So we also borrow something from that. And we also have some department strategic plans for 5 years. And we also have the county annual development plans that I talked about. It is a 1-year plan. And we have the county budget review and outlook paper. And still, we also have the fiscal strategy paper. So we need to link our thoughts, our money thoughts, together with these plans. So when the county government is budgeting, we need to ask ourselves, are they budgeting following the guidelines that were provided by the Sustainable Development Plan? Are they following the Annual Development Plan? And are they following this, the County Integrated Development Plan, which is a 5-year plan? So we need to look at all this before we implement, when we are doing public participation, and we're also doing social audit.
Sorry, so the annual development plan, as that is created, it is required to be something that can be fully funded by the revenues that are available?
It should be. It should be funded. Because you see that the annual development plan, that is a plan that we plan the next year. What are our priorities? So it sets the priorities based on that plan. You see, so now when we're doing our budget, are we budgeting based on the annual development plan? And you see the annual development plan has development budget. You see now we need to budget 30% according to the constitution. 30% should go to development expenditure and 70% to recurrent expenditure. Because most of the county and even the national government expenditure is recurrent. You see a lot of money is going to salaries, a lot of money is going to health sector, a lot of money is also going to, like, for instance, roads. That is an expenditure project. We are not going to get anything in return.
But if you have a county annual development plan that you're unable to fully fund, you've done something wrong.
No. Maybe I could make a comment here. You see, a plan is how we define it. It's telling us we want to go there, isn't it? It's coming up with a way of saying this is what we intend to achieve. But at the place where we are doing a plan, and Mheshimiwa is here, they will tell you the ambitions are still high. Yeah, we want to fly. We want to land someplace. So the plan will kind of give an indication of where we want to go. But as you come closer to the budget, you actually realize the resources are not enough and you cannot cover the whole plan. Okay? So there is when you narrow down to the exact budget. But of course, as you do the plan, you have an indication of the money you are likely to get as a county. So if you know, and NAIROBI County has so much money, you guys, you have money, 30B. What is the last year's budget?
Last year's budget,
over 30B.
Money that we don't see.
Yeah, so
they're not following their money. You see, you given an indication. The national government will issue a circular, and the CRA will also give an indication of the ceilings per county. And you have also what you collect as a county, the one called on-source revenue, and I'm sure Winnie here, the expert, will talk about it, the on-source revenue. When you put together NAIROBI money, I think it's over 30 million. Now, you guys, by the time you're coming to do the county fiscal strategy paper, you saw those dates there. You kind of know the ceiling now. Now, that is the time you cannot do budgets beyond. Some people still do it and they put a deficit. But by the time you are doing the budget and submitting in April, 30th of April to Assembly, it should balance. It should balance. But I've worked in the county. I know sometimes we balance it with a revenue that we never collect. I know that happens quite a lot across counties. And by the way, as Expertise Global, having seen this gap, we are thinking of developing a way of forecasting revenues so that counties can use a model that will show them you actually cannot collect what you're saying you can collect. We hope that, Mheshimiwa, when we come, today I'll get your contact, I'm the happiest. When we come to the county assembly and show you what you are thinking, we really need your support because we are telling counties, stop budgeting beyond your capacity to collect. Because when you do that, you lie to the people. You tell them we will deliver this project, but because you can't raise the revenue, you cannot deliver the project. Initially, before IFMIS became, before IFMIS was so much used, people would procure without a budget because it used to happen outside a system. And that's why the first regime of counties had lots of pending bills. At least now they have gone down. Why? Because they procured projects and they were not able to pay for them because they didn't have the money. I don't know whether you understand that concept. Yes.
But now with IFMIS, you have to procure it in IFMIS. So unless one gives you a tender without a document, you cannot be able to do a project that is not funded. So at the ADP, as she's explaining, you get the development budget, you get the recurrent budget, but maybe there you are not very exact. But we don't expect you, unajua Nairobi upata 30 and you're budgeting 50B surely. That's too big a deficit. We expect you to be maybe around 40 and thinking of what to narrow down. But if you can balance your budget at annual development plan time, the best. So it's a good thing to do, but not many people achieve it at the planning level. But by the time the budget is sealed, it is actually sealed. Winnie?
Okay, thank you very much. There's something called supplementary budgets. You see, during COVID-19, you saw how the health monies were moved from other sectors towards the health sector. So sometimes we make a plan, but we do not fulfill that plan because something else comes. For instance, right now we have a lot of rain, so we move funds from even health, we move from transport, we move from other sectors to promote the environment and sanitation programs, right?
Could I add something there?
Yes.
I think that, again, together with what she's saying, your question is really like how citizens should be able to align themselves to the plans, isn't it? Maybe you could go back to that picture, the one, yes, this one. You see, the expectation is that a government has developed plans, isn't it? Which plans, Winnie has explained, have to be linked to the bigger plans. You know, we are borrowing from the Kenya Vision 2030, all of us as counties. We cannot start doing things that are outside the main vision. But of course, that doesn't limit a county to planning for their own. So you kind of borrow from there, borrow from the Kenya national plans and all that. So this, the citizens may not be able to do. So the county leadership will do it for you. They will scan through the documents, they will see the vision, and then they will align themselves to the vision. They will align themselves to the sustainable development goals. They will align themselves to the, what is it called, the Africa Agenda 2063.
Yeah, the African Agenda
2063. They will all align, and the county treasury will help you with that thinking. But it's good for you to also read and understand. They will help you with that thinking. They will try to pick ideas and then they will make a proposal. Yeah? And where participation works well, you should be able to get now that annual development plan for you to read. The expectation is that in that annual development plan, the county government has begun putting its thinking there. Like, what is the need in Nairobi? You see, even before we come to you people, as the people seated in the office, with an understanding of the environment and the economy, we should be able to tell Nairobi roads are bad, for example. So they may do a plan proposal telling you that this year we want to dedicate money towards roads rehabilitation, for example. But you as citizens may also be having another need and tell them, as we do roads, can we also consider this? So it is at this point where priorities are being weighed and priorities are being kind of synthesized, and then together as a team, you're able to agree. Of course, the expectation is that even before the plan is completely done, citizens have been involved to say what they think is okay. So really, this participation is not just budget, it is also plans, yes.
So maybe it's a show of hands around this room of who all has participated at a budgetary session.
I'm gonna participate on this.
So you can see, and so if you, and when you participated, did the government come back and give you feedback after you said something?
We're waiting.
Yeah. So this is what I'm pointing to. I want you to have to get to the reality of what is happening on the ground. is one, people aren't participating, and the other one is they don't have faith, and you can ask why. Because I think people have given, but you don't ever hear the iterative process. I've told you my input, but the government doesn't come back and say, we've taken this into consideration. Did we hear you correctly? Because this is now the budget we're gonna put forward. No, but they don't do that.
Let me ask a question.
Yeah.
Together with you. You said you participated.
Yes,
Like you were called in a room, and then what happened?
So they displayed, this was in NAIROBI County, they were doing the fiscal strategic plan of what the next financial year looks like. They handed out to us statements of what last year looked like, matters expenditure, and then what they're projecting to spend and earn this with an allocation percentage on different sectors. And so the public, I guess ideally, the public was meant to question, raise concerns and say, hey, you're spending too much money in here, why is this thing being neglected? But again, there was a different tangent that arose to it when everybody was raising their concerns because government officials are in a room. So you could have seen there's what they want to do, but a different direction going on the same. Yeah.
So you have some work to do. You have some work to do. You have to make your voices be heard. You have to, but anyway, it also takes work by the county leadership and also the legislators, because the legislators are with you. So that's why she should be here, so that she also becomes your voice, the other side. But possibly, as we work together this journey, we will begin to structure ourselves and make a proposal to the county how we want to participate. Okay? Because again, without a structure of how you get involved, it becomes difficult. But as a group, and this is workable, we can work around how do we get to participate with our county. Me, I worked for a rural county. I may not understand a town county so much. Maybe participation at a rural county is different from here. But what I know is that the minute people appreciate that they are heard, they say what they want and they are heard and those things get to be done, then they become more active. Maybe I'll share that after the presentation, just to share what happened elsewhere. But it is possible that you can be listened to. Of course, there are challenges that the government officials also sometimes protect, and you have to learn how to penetrate. Sometimes it is not force, it is engaging and asking them to yes, actually that's the word, negotiating, to be able to get into that space. Yes, Winnie, as you come. Yes.
Just kindly, as a youth, sometimes I get it's very difficult. Do we have a listening government?
We have 47, 40 years, 48?
Okay,
we have 48 governments.
Let's talk about the national government.
Oh.
Like recently we had the finance bills that was just passed at that time in Parliament. I remember they had public participation, people went, gave out views, they went around the country collecting views all over here and there. But you end up that by the end of the day, what we say as the citizens were not captured, they never appeared anywhere. By the end of the day, the government went ahead and used force all over, and what they wanted sailed through. So do we have a listening government?
Should I say yes and no? I don't want to answer that question. The thing is, I don't want to fix myself. But the thing is, the government should listen. Am I being careful with my words?
Yes.
Yes. The government should listen. The government should listen, and the citizens should keep on talking. Keep talking. Keep talking and talking until they hear. Did they listen to Wangari Maathai?
Yes.
Did they listen to her? Unfortunately, okay, that's one of the people in this country who really suffered for what she believed in, isn't it?
Yes.
Yeah, I remember the day, yeah, but they listened, okay? we really don't want to get there because we're in a space where we have a constitution that is allowing us to speak. So we don't expect to go through what Wangari went through. But we can still keep speaking until they hear. Wewe toka nation no. Si ukuje hapa. Let's speak here, Nairobi County, isn't it? Are you here not for Nairobi County? Yes. Even as you speak. Me, I think you're closer to Nairobi County than to national government. I don't know how you feel. You're closer to Nairobi County. And if you penetrate Nairobi County, you can also go that other level and still advocate for what you believe in. So me, what I will tell you is that it's good to keep speaking. It's good to keep raising your issues. It's good to keep on, and this is a good forum, to keep saying what you believe in. And it's good to involve your member of county assembly. I'm happy he could have been here. And I'm sure the message she would deliver to him will make him be here. Because the minute you get him on board, it's going to be better in terms of how you flow with the county government going forward. So keep talking.
One thing I want to share with you just before we are out of time. There's something I want you to look at. It is not about just the Nairobi County, it is the national government. I want, as when you go back home, look at the budget. We can send you the program-based budget. We want you to track, just Control F, track climate finance, disaster, emergency, droughts, and floods. This is the revenue streams at the national level. This is not at the county level. These are the national level. This is not for Nairobi County. So if you look at this is where the national government is getting the streams of revenue. So at the largest is 36%. But while we're calling it others, we are not able to categorize properly. You see, there are counties that have fees that are not, we cannot categorize in this. So maybe we will talk to the CRA to be able to categorize further. But again, Mary can speak more about that because she was helping with the formulation of the revenue streams. So we also have a health facility fee. We are also getting revenue from natural resources. We are getting revenue from cess, that is tax from agricultural produce transportation. We are getting from business permits. We are getting from vehicle parking. And we're also getting from market trade. So you spoke about you representing the 87, is it the 85 wards? 35 wards, 85 wards. So there are markets all over, and this is market rates in Kenya. So the percentage is 3% from market fees. Are you seeing? That is national level. That is very small. But if we look at others, and if we remove others, the 15% which is green, that is the business permits. What does that show? That the business people or the private sector, they contribute so much towards the revenue. So their voices are very important. Someone talked about the finance bill. It was tabled on 30th. That is when we're supposed to get, 30th April, that is when we're supposed to get the views. We submit our views to the treasury. So don't just look at there's something that is in the new finance bill, which is motor vehicle taxes. Yes. Don't just look at that. I want you to look at others that are there. For instance, people in software. Look at a fee that is there. There's a royalty that has been put in place. Now we are going to be taxed. Don't look, you remember the other year we looked at the housing levy and the teams was waiting for us. Look at the minor things. There's a lawyer in the house, so help liars with her to be able to look at the smaller things. They have removed persons, and now we want person. So look at the smaller things that are in the finance bill. Don't just be taken or carried away by the motor vehicle. Maybe it is hiding a lot of things in the finance bill. So that is the scenario of the national government. Go to the next slide so that we can see. So for Nairobi County, land rates are contributing to 27% of the total revenue that is collected. So that is a substantial amount of revenue. That is the 27% is a contribution. Then we also have parking fees. So as much as these people are going to introduce a motor vehicle tax, are you going to see we're going to have a reduction in that revenue? So those are the conversations that we can raise. at the county level. If you're going to introduce another tax on motor vehicle, that means even the parking fees is going to reduce because people are not going to import vehicles. Another important aspect is the single business permits. So what does that show? 16% of revenue that is collected in Nairobi County comes from the business people. So the voice of the business person is very important during this period when we are doing the finance bill. If we want to collect more, because if they are going to put impunitive taxes, particularly on business people, most of them are going to close down. Are we able to collect the 16% of revenue that we are collecting now? We will not be able to collect. We have learned that with this government, we are not going to do a lot of, it's not combative. We cannot be very combative. They love a lot of media attention. So if we provide a policy brief and tell them, this is what we have, you said you're going to do, but this is what we have. Particularly on mobile phones. They had talked about the price of a mobile phone is going to be 4,000. Based on survey that was done, the list is around 8,000. And we're talking about e-commerce. We want to trade online. What are we doing? You see, those are the kind of conversations that you need to bring on board, okay? So let's go to expenditure. So this expenditure, as much as we categorize expenditure in terms of the sectors, we have 10 sectors at the national level, but counties have more than 10, depending on the need. So just go down to the sectors, to the expenditure. So we have classified, we have given the expenditure, where the money is going in terms of recurrent expenditure, in terms of development expenditure, and what was budgeted for. So recurrent, mostly it goes to like hospital facilities and all that, and also the education, the pre-primary education and the tech, they are called village polytechnics. Polytechnics, that is where the money goes. And then now, are we able to see the absorption on to recurrent expenditure is, at the county executive is 96%, at the assembly 76%, but look at compensation to employees, the absorption is 93% and 97%. That means the deviation is very limited. But if you come to development expenditure, are you seeing at the county executive 50%? That is what was actually spent based on what was budgeted for. And if you look at the county assembly, is 15%. What does that mean?
Nairobi?
Yeah, this is Nairobi County. This is for Nairobi County.
Shocking.
This is shocking for you. The
absorption is 15%.
Absorption, yes, for the county for the county assembly. And this report is from the Office of Control of Budget. The budget is for the year 2022-2023. It is publicly available for all of us to see. So if you look at this...
So the Assembly has one budget and the Executive has another budget?
Yes, according to the classification, yes. You see, the classification varies from county to county. There are counties that are doing county executive and assembly together.
So what's the difference then?
You see, for the county executive, what is the composition of the county executive? It is the CECs, the deputy governor, and the governor. Then now the county assembly, that is the membership, like the members of the assembly.
So what would be a development project that the county assembly has?
The county assembly, a development project for the county, we have to look at maybe the rural roads, not the rural roads, they are doing roads, public roads. Local, yes. Local budget for roads. There are feeder roads in their specific boards that
like the cover road.
Yeah. So such things.
Garbage collection.
Such things, yeah. So looking at this, we are able to see that the absorption is very high on compensation and recurrent expenditure. And for development budgets, we are having very limited. Are you seeing that?
Essentially, they always get paid on time,
right?
But they don't build roads.
Yes. So what's in the way? What's in the maybe that's going to come out later today. What's in the way of that low percentage?
So what we need to, you see, people can only solve problems when they already know their problem. You see, like Mheshimiwa is shocked. 15%? You see, now she knows that. Next time when she meets in the assembly, she's going to make noise about it. Now you know where the problem is. You see, solutions will not come from
But
me.
this is not new. I've seen this year after year.
Because you have an advantage. You have an information advantage. The people who don't have that information.
I'm saying
Yeah.
as an MCA, this is not new to them.
And you know, there's
That's what I'm saying.
you see this analysis may not, you see, and again, you see, there's a capacity issue sometimes. And again, this information may be there for people in the PFM space. We know where every information is. Like the motor vehicle, I know the percentage, but if I ask you, you do not know. But you may not know.
It's 5.
It's 5. Good. You see this one grins. But the people who, do you know were you aware it was 5%? You see. So this information, there's an information asymmetry. There are people who have a lot of information, there are people who do not have this information. But we are here, we are the mediators, we have all that information. We come to such forums and we are able to share. And the solutions will not come from us, they come from you. You're going to have a forum, we're going to give you a budget. We want you to practically do a budget. You see, sometimes we could be saying that they are eating our money. That is what has always been there. But sometimes, even when you're given that budget, it is hard for you to plan as a person. Because personal finances are hard for me as a person. How can they not be hard for a person that is planning for very many people in the county? So we need to really have let us have real scenarios so that we're able to understand the challenges that these people undergo. Yes?
I just want to say, we have a group, okay, we have various residential groups under KPF. And I remember one morning we tasked the MCA, our MCA, and we said to him, what is the road and lighting budget? And he smack bang gave us a table with all the roads that were going to be done over what period of time. So we said, fantastic. And then at that time, the governor was also present in the group, and he said, yes, I support you on that. Fast forward, the next fiscal year came, and we asked him, so we don't see any lighting, and we don't see the roads, in fact, have become worse. What happened? Oh my goodness, it's like we had shot him, and he started, not being pleasant. I'm not going to use the words, but it was very unpleasant to the people, to the community. And so we believe that those budgets are cosmetic and they're not actual. So they just say this is a gap, it will soon have water, but the water never comes. and he knows it's not going to come. So we have decided to adopt another experience.
Actually, I'll just piggyback on that. The reason why, and I speak now on behalf of the community, that he is the only one who has attended any of these budget meetings, was a ripple effect of what happened the previous year. Because of what happened then, when the next fiscal year came around, and we were all called upon to go for the public participation at Mutuini Primary, was it? We all said we are not going.
It's cosmetic.
Yeah.
If we are just honest, then we are able to trust. Right now, zero trust. Unfortunately.
If I look at what you displayed, so there's a discrepancy in the absorption percentages depending on what has actually been. So when you start a new financial year, what happens to the difference?
You see what is here. You see what is budgeted. For instance, let me give you an example. Let's come here, development budget, where we have 9,109,952. That is what was the county executive. That is what was budgeted for the county executive. What was spent is that amount, okay? That is the expenditure. So if you do the difference, that is the what? That is the absorption. So what was not spent, they did not get enough money to spend. So the absorption shows how much was actually spent on that particular project. But sometimes, you see, it is because of supplementary budgets. You remove money from this project, you put it in another. So next year, we start from zero. But again, Mary can highlight so much on that.
Maybe I could
respond. Just say that I mentioned something about our failed attempts. Budgets are made on paper. before the money is actually acquired and then allocated and spent. So when you have a huge budgetary thing, you have, say we are at 30 billion as was said, but within the year, you're able to raise 20 billion, for instance. So then, and then there are emergencies that come in between. I'm not trying to excuse anything, but I'm just saying that is why we are here. To be able to understand that when you make a budget, talk about your source. Where is this money going to come from? When you allocate it, when you allocate it to a particular place, how is it going to be spent? The implementation and then the reporting of that expenditure should also come. I hear your treasurer saying, can we just know what is happening? I mean, even if persons are stuck, but that's it.
Another thing, and Mheshimiwa here will concur with me, the county assembly, are you listening? The county assembly does not do projects for the executive. Their job is oversight. They oversee what the executive is doing. And so they can question. Now, they can do development, but their development, which is like doing their chamber. They can be given money to do their chamber. That will be development. So they will do development their side and their issues. And of course, because I also worked for the county, sometimes it is also a challenge absorbing the budget because of procurement procedures. Mheshimiwa, you heard of procurement in government, not easy. I was involved sometimes in a project we procured 3 times. And those days, the process of procurement was a month. You people can't understand that. It sounds Greek. It is the truth. Because of the hard VAT, evaluation, and all that. So because of that, sometimes government take longer to procure. Now what happens at the end of the year? They're able to demonstrate the money that was spent, so to speak, absorbed, and the money not absorbed. Now what happens at the end of the year for counties? They say the budget lapses. The budget comes to an end. But what's the beauty about it? That money comes back to the county. So now, you people as an advocacy team should be in the space of looking at the projects. Are they taking back the projects that we never got to do? Getting the point? Like you budgeted for something, it wasn't done. It is the end of the year. It forms part of unabsorbed funds. The funds were not absorbed during the year. That money goes back to the county main collection account called the Central, what is it called? CRF. The name is running away. So when the money goes there, the county is supposed to budget it back for use. I think somebody was asking that question, what happened? The money goes back to the county and it should go back to that project, but she mentioned supplementary. During supplementary, they can also decide to do a different project. Now, hapo ndio Mheshimiwa said, you can see it, yet it is not there. So it is you to keep your eye, is the project coming back during rebudgeting. Thank you so much.